Welcome, everyone. Today, I have the special honor and privilege of having the Elena Cardone with us today. So let me tell you something. There are people that we see and they're on video, and then when we meet them in real life, we're like, oh, this is different. But I've had the privilege of meeting Elena and getting to know her a little bit. And I can tell you that what you see is what you get. And I know that people trust what my word is. And I'm telling you that when I think of a woman who embodies class and excellence and precision, I think that goes back to all the gun shooting you do, because you have to be tactical in your approach, which I love that you do that. But you know, Elena, you were born in Spain as a US citizen. Your mother was working in the embassy. And I think this has planted a seed of you thinking bigger than most. And today, you know, you are an author, you're a speaker, you're a producer for 10X Ladies, which is something that I have in my heart. So, you know, I want to share with everyone today a little piece of Elena, because when you get around great people that have influence, that are leaders in the world, you're not just a leader to people in the US, but on a global perspective, there's so much that we can learn, that we can impart into ourselves so that we can take our lives to the next level. And I want to ask you as your first question today, you know, why do we have to, number one, build an empire, and number two, can't apply a normal way of doing it? What kind of living do we have to put into building our empire?
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me on your show. I've had the honor to get to know you, and you are just an incredible human being, such a powerful, powerhouse woman. So I'm honored to know you, first of all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so why build an empire? Because empires are the only thing that are sufficient enough in abundance in order to absorb a hit. It's the only thing that can sustain longevity and can sustain the hits of the everyday world. So normal is the worst operating state to be in because you're under this illusion. And it will only take something like an economic collapse or a COVID or someone getting sick or dying or you losing your job, a lawsuit, any number of one little things can break the entire empire because you haven't built the infrastructure and the support in order to be able to sustain those hits. So I want to break the illusion of normal. And most of us have been conditioned to believe in normal and to think that normal is enough. We've all heard when's enough and just be happy with what you have. And so we're not conditioned to being okay with having more, that's okay. But I like to equate it like this. A farmer, let's say, needed 12 crops to live off of happily for a year. The normal farmer will plant 12 crops, but what happens is the locusts come and take half away, and then there's a flood, and the farmer is now left with 3 and he's starving, right? But the not normal, the person who's going to build an empire farmer, instead of the 12, builds an abundance, right? So he builds 100 and plants 100 crops so that when the locusts come and take 50 and then the flood comes and takes another 25, he's still got 25 left over and he only needed 12, so he's got a surplus, and then he's able to, if he wants to, provide for the people within his own empire community so that everyone is supported. So that's my analogy to an empire and why an empire in sort of layman's terms, where we can all kind of understand why I think it's so crucial that we all think on a larger scale. Because the truth is, it takes just as much work to plant the 12 crops as it does the 100 crops. You know, it's really no different. You're still doing the same actions. You're just doing them on a bigger scale.
Yes. You know, what's so important is that everyone get their hands on your book. You know, building an empire is something for us to apply to every area of our life, right? Because that's what an empire is. It's an entire organization, family, business, all those things united as one. And you break down in your book, you talk a little bit about your history, which I love. And, when I say that people are living in Hollywood, like we kind of all are, because we exist in social media, and it takes us to a world that's not really real. And you grew up in New Orleans, and you talk about the struggles that you had there and with your friends and losing them. And then you actually went to Hollywood and you built yourself an actress, a career as an actress, a model, a very successful one. But you never became Hollywood, which I love about you. You were in Hollywood, but you never became Hollywood. So in today's world, Elena, a lot of people are struggling with this because they're doing things that, keeping up with the Joneses. And you are married to a very, very strong individual, and you hold your own as someone working alongside him. So in today's world, where we're all taught as women, be independent, be an independent woman. Some of us might have been told, have your own bank account, do things on your own. How could this collide and disrupt our empire and not really allow us to cultivate and work together as a team with our spouse and our family to build that massive empire?
Well, I struggled with that a lot. I definitely suffered from that. I was raised to believe I should be the strong, independent, powerful woman. And I agree with that. Definitely, don't take that away from me, but it was to the detriment of not including anybody else into the empire. So what I've learned is no one's built an empire alone. It's impossible. Go study history. An empire requires people. And of course, if you're going to be starting one, it should start with the person who's in the bedroom with you, right? But I was under this illusion that I had to be this on my own, which meant cut out a man, like never depend on a man for anything. So I operated like this for many, many years. What happens, and it'll happen for anyone, male, female, you can only go so high and then you're going to cap. There's only so much you can do on your own. But it wasn't until I realized, wow, I can put that mindset aside and adopt a new one, which is, hey, how can I cohesively collaborate with my partner in order to achieve a heightened level of success that I can't do on my own? How can he help me, and how can I help him hit that higher level? So I placed that on hold, being willing to compromise what I thought and how I thought I would be perceived by women around the world, like leaving my career to go support a man I just thought was the absolute worst thing you could do as a woman. But I did that in order to bet all my chips on this man, entrepreneurial endeavors, and this empire that we wanted to build. And it turns out I made the right bet. It turns out we were able to work together based on our strengths and weaknesses and deli up who gets to be the boss of what area. So we were no longer vying and fighting each other for the power position no, I run that. No, you have your own department, I have mine. It's based on the strengths and weaknesses, and that allowed us to focus on the main thing, which was where are we going as a couple, not individually, not like just on your own. This isn't just about, the Miss Independent Woman Elena show anymore. No, now I have an asset. I have a partner. And in that, now we can go get more people on the empire and in the mission, and more people working for you. So it's not just a me show anymore. It's like, okay, where are we all going together, and how can we all move up as a group together? So ironically, I became more powerful, more independent, more free as a woman based on the challenges and growth that I have encountered being with a man, which is just completely mind-blowing of how I thought it was all supposed to happen.
Yes, for a lot of people to understand that, in your book, you talk about knowing your role. And I love this because this is true in business and this is true in life. And when people are looking sideways at what someone else is doing and then, silently getting those feelings of, oh, I wish I could do that, then we forget what our role is, and it's more integrated into the whole. There's a big movement right now where people are saying, your family is first, but your family is really everything. It's the foundation of which you build on. So what does it mean? And how does this relate to an empire of knowing your role? You know, who is the king? Who is the queen? Who are the people in your business that you guys all come together and everyone knows their role so that you're all successful as a group of thriving individuals?
Yeah, well, that's why I want everyone to think in terms of an empire, even though it's not realistic to go think of your friends as somebody lesser ranked than you. But for the sake of the mindset, I like to equate it and knowing your role. So obviously you get to be the king or the queen of your own empire, right? And in that, it's where do you fit in the totality of all of the empire, the bigger empire? Have you collaborated with somebody else's? So yes, it's knowing your role within your own little empire world. So, and I say that because the king, if I'm going to be the queen and I'm going to be married to the king, right, then I can't go to, for lack of a better word, my friends or anybody else, that, as I would call them, the chambermaids, right, if you were the queen, right? So these friends, not that you would ever say that in real life, but I wouldn't as the queen, like really imagine yourself as like a queen. You would not go to somebody else. You can't. You're at the top of the food chain. You cannot go to somebody else and try to get advice about how to deal with the king or talk about a problem that you and the king have had, because you have a role to keep that relationship super sacred, because the entire network is depending on the top to be strong and stable and to kind of figure it out themselves. So you can't go share those weaknesses with anyone else below you, because then it tears apart the empire. Then there's natter, there's gossip, then it goes to this side and his camp, and then it feeds back, and then they say bad things about you, and then you have conflict. You see, now me and the king have conflict, and it's even if the conflict sorted itself out between he and I, now there's all these whispers in the whisper campaign, and it comes back, which can reignite the whole thing again and cause another problem. Oh, he's whatever, fill it in. He's too strong on you. He's not fair. He's this, all the ideas that they plant in your head, and boom, you're constantly fighting. And then see, the people in your empire are the most dangerous because they can destroy the empire, right? My enemies are on the outside. I know how to plan and attack them. That's why, you know, I think in terms of empire on so many levels in my life like this, because I have to be able to protect the us, but then everyone else has to know their role in the position of, you know, this is your job. You know, my executive assistant has a job. She has a job to keep me on a schedule and to get this product done and help me and facilitate and create a distraction-free environment so that I can get the work done. And then, but she has her own empire with her husband, where she's the queen and he's the king. So, but when everyone understands the mission and can figure out how to cohesively work together for the greater purpose. So you'd have to know your purpose. In our organization, Cardone, everything Cardone Enterprises goes under, like, we want to make a difference for the better. We want to help people, whether it's in financial freedom or whether it's showing how relationships can work or restoring the value of women to society or whatever the sub-purposes are. Everyone that's on the team also believes in that mission and knows that when they are doing their role, they're contributing to the masses by their role in that purpose.
Yes. You know, for a lot of people, when we're talking about family dynamics, right? When you see someone that's successful in business, you wanna be interacting with someone who really has it all. And I think of families that are all striving for this. You want to be successful in business, you want to be successful in life, you want your children to be perfect. But, you know, Elena, you and I know this just isn't how it goes, right? There is things that get rattled. Yeah. In your book, you said a very, very powerful line about it isn't the most dangerous enemy is the one you personally let in. I think everyone should take note of that, because when you are, you know, standing on guard of your empire, you talk about vetting people. And I love this. I love that you're involved, because there's certain things that your spouse can sense if you guys are on the same page, if you're aligned, you know, and if you trust one another, you can open up that gate. If there's no trust, if you're not on the same mission, you might get, you know, wrong information coming to you. But why is it so important for you and your organization as you push your family forward? Because I love that about you. You're not sitting home saying, like, we made it, I'm enjoying the life. You are pushing forward. And that says a lot about you, right? But at the same time, as you're pushing forward, you're very tactical with the steps that you're taking. So you're not just saying, everyone come in, you want to make sure you're partnering with the right people so that you're not creating a danger within. Can you explain to people why it's so important to be open-minded and to really vet people so that who's in your inner circle is more carefully guarded than who you are necessarily helping? You can help the world, but you can't do that if your inner circle has poison from within.
1,000,000%. You explained it very well. When you make a decision to really live like this, like if you're really going to build an empire, expand one, protect one, if you're really willing to think on the scale of what that takes, you're a big thinker. And then when you achieve success, there's people out there. First of all, you have to be willing to confront that evil exists and people want to destroy you. Like, look at history and empires, right? If there's an empire, someone wants to take over it, they want it. And, so there's that. And so why is it important? It's important because it's not an easy task. It's achievable. It's an enormous victory when you win. The rewards are tremendous, but it's not always easy. And so you have to be so on purpose and so sold on your mission, and you have to be so disciplined in order to forge forward, like you talked about, on every single day. It takes a tremendous amount of integrity and honor. And so if you're going to do that, you will fail if you are not surrounded by people who are also holding you accountable and who hold that high level of a standard. You're not going to get an empire. You're going to get mediocre. You're going to get fragile. You're going to get quicksand, an illusion. That's what that is. But the thing that I'm talking about is built on a foundation. And so you need those people around you. So why is it so important? It's so important because first of all, if I compromise my integrity and I do things that are substandard to myself, right? Then the people around me, when they do something substandard, I no longer have the wherewithal or the power to slam their ethics into place and to be able to say, knock it off, what are you doing? How can we go to this higher level? Because I'm secretly knowing what I did wrong, right? And so if I have enough of those people in there that are constantly compromising their integrity and they're surrounded by me and the king, and I allow that to happen, then I know he and I are going to drop. And then there's no way we're going to be able to accomplish these long-term goals and helping 7 billion people on the planet and defying all the odds and going for greatness and glory, because you can't achieve it if everyone is substandard. So that's why I vet everyone. I got to know who's around me. I got to know when Grant's not around me, I'm surrounded by people who are going to continue to push me. And when I'm not around Grant, he can be trusted by his circle that are going to push him to greatness and steer us and me away from our weaknesses, because, we're all just human. I'd like to, maybe go drink in a bar and flirt with guys all night once in a while, but I can't do that and be an honorable woman and feel good about myself and be married to a king and go build an empire and then have this childish behavior go on. It destroys, right? So I got to be around people who would never let me get in that environment in the first place. It's little things like that. But normal people could dismiss that and go, oh, when do you have fun in life? And why do you have to take everything so seriously? And can't you just lighten up? Or I don't want to have an empire if you're that strict, Well, that's fine. You don't have to have one. I chose to do something that's greater than just what I perceive this little physical body can do. Like, I'm really challenging myself in this lifetime to go beyond the boundaries of what I thought I could do and can I do it. So I'm willing to sacrifice oh, like going to get approval by hot guys in bars that think I'm hot one night. That doesn't interest me in the long term. That's detrimental to where I want to go with my life. So everyone has to look at what they're willing to do, what they're willing to take responsibility for, and then going for that. And are you willing to make a sacrifice in order to get where you want to go? Because you will have to make sacrifices. You will have to give something up. You know, shots in a bar, I'm from New Orleans. That is a small little sacrifice that I have to pay in order to really become the woman and the power that I want to be, that really gives me the ultimate glory. Not, you know, oh wow, that guy thought I was hot and I'm 48 years old. Wow, that feels good.
And you are so on point, because I always share this with my team. It's not like one massive failure is going to come into your life and ruin you. It's almost like you watch people's lives and it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? These slow and little chips that they keep taking.
Saying. A normal person could look at you and say, that's no big deal, Elena, lighten up. Well, it is a big deal to me because it compromises my integrity. And then if I allow my integrity to be compromised, I'm going to allow everyone around me to have compromised integrity. And then where are we at? And then we fall short of our goals, and that doesn't fulfill me. That brings me depression. That's what makes me tired. When I have a failed purpose in life, I get tired. When I'm actually winning and executing and like stretching the barriers, I'm happy, I'm thriving, I don't get tired. I can go endless hours and I just keep regenerating energy because I create energy. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not sucking the life out of me.
Yes, and you gave a great analogy. The first time I heard you speak was at a 10X growth conference, and you really said so many things that a lot of us today, as you are with your spouse, you really have to hear this message, because you gave this analogy of, you know, when the husband comes home and he wants to have, you know, this moment. First off, you create an environment that is loving, that is open, because he should be at war, he should be fighting. So you have that, but at the same time, you're not afraid to push. And that's really what creates that environment where, you know, it wasn't a good day and you said, so then why are you home? Right? I love this story, but then you also go a little deeper, because it goes back to not just saying, I don't want to have a normal life, but really acting that way. So if your husband misses a birthday, you don't make them feel bad for that. You know, your spouse, if they miss it, it's not something that you make them feel bad, because you know you're trying to build an abnormal life, and not trying, you are building an abnormal life. So you create that space where you don't compare yourself and allow the noise of other people to infect your mind. Could you share with our audience, because what Stand Alone is really about is not letting the noise of the world get into you, right? Stand alone, you know, have your missions, have your values, have your principles, and then back it up with your actions. So in those moments, you know, Elena, you're a mother of 2 beautiful girls, right? When it's their birthday and you as a mother, you're thinking, okay, Grant's not home right now. You know, your heart is hurting, but at the same time, you're going to put on a face and say, no, this is not a problem. We're going to have 2 birthdays, right? We're going to celebrate here, and we'll celebrate when Papa gets home. Can you share with the audience why you have to have that strength from within to keep everything together and to make sure that everyone in your family knows, like, I'm serious about what I'm allowing to have happen in this family. Everyone better pull their part. Everyone better come correct.
Well, I agree what you say about the comparison game. And it's a lesson I learned too late in life. I wish I had learned it earlier. But oftentimes I would look at other couples or the way other people did things, and I imagined that their life was this perfect little life, and how in love they must act all the time, and, you know, just they have everything perfect. You know, I did that with this one other couple, actually 2, and they're both divorced now, nasty divorces, right? And I thought to myself, wow, like, that is not at all what I thought their relationship was to be. And after that, I said, you know what? I can only do me, right? And so all these preconceived ideas of how I think something's supposed to be. Like, I think a lot of women, I don't want to speak for women, but it is a generality. I think that they want this hand-holding time with their husbands, or they need a certain, you have to prove that you love me type moment. And I think I had a lot of that in the very beginning of my marriage, until I realized that I was looking to my husband to fulfill a part in me that I wasn't fulfilling myself. And it's really not fair to do to somebody, right? To like make them responsible for your happiness, or like that now somehow they prove that they love you. One thing is, I don't do the comparison game anymore. I just do me. And I know my life is gonna be different because I'm making it different. I don't see people doing what I'm doing, so it's not gonna look the same. So people always ask me about work-life balance and what do I feel about this. I just know my life, which is always a lot of stuff going on, and nothing is ever really in balance. And I go and handle, you say family first. Family is first, of course, but not always. Not right. For me. Like sometimes, look, in a live or die situation, yes, my family is first, but sometimes my kids just want my attention because they're bored. And in that case, it's not family first. The greater mission is to wear the hat and the role of who I am in this empire and help people. And so they're gonna go off with a nanny or a driver and get occupied, and their time's gonna go be spent with somebody else. And I'm gonna go do my work. And then there's times where I haven't spent the time with the children and I need to put in the time, and then it is family first, and I drop everything I do and I'm like, sorry people, you've had enough of me. I'll be behind on that deadline because I gotta go deal and get my family in order. So that's what my life looks like. But if I sit here and go, I imagine that somebody else has this whole work-life balance thing worked out. They got this and they got that and everything just works perfectly and everything is great. I'll drive myself insane because that just doesn't work for me. It's just not my life. And if I have that little to do where it is all that balance, that's going to make me miserable. Because I like action, I like spontaneity, I like adventures, I like a bunch of things going off, and I like to go figure out how I'm gonna figure it all out. I don't want it all humma, pre-planned, we got this, we got that. That's not me. But if it's you and you figure out how to do that for your life, great, then do you. That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone just needs to do them. You need to figure out your own life, paint your own picture, take the actions to get you to have what you envision your life to be. My life is, I'm getting messy. I'm getting paint and ink all over the place, and I'm just having fun, But at the end, there's a lot of precision because I'm going to get to the other side for sure, Sometimes I just don't always know how.
Yeah, and I think this is very encouraging for so many people to really take in, and this is why I actually don't like that saying. That's what I was saying. I don't like it when people say family first because it should be integrated into what you do. My family doesn't compete with my business. It's not like that.
Right.
And so
I love that you said that. Integrated. Yes. They're all on the mission. This is what we do. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So, you said another thing in your book that was really powerful. And you said to stop avoiding and start confronting. Stop avoiding and start confronting. And then as a lot of us, we take things personally, and people always want to say, women are emotional, but the truth is human beings are emotional creatures, right? Men have ego as much as women have feelings, right? So the reality is that when we are in an environment where, our spouse or someone is telling us the truth, how do you navigate through this? You gave a perfect example in your book. And I think every woman who's had children goes through this phase where you have your favorite nightgown, your favorite robe, and you would live in it if you could, your favorite sweatpants. But then, at the same time, you got to snap out of it, right? You gotta get dressed. You got to put makeup on. You got to feed that spirit inside of you that also wants to grow beyond that robe, that nightgown, those extra pounds that we're hiding behind. So how did you move from just sitting there and saying, you could have made excuses. You could have said, listen, I'm tired. I'm at home. I found myself in that situation too. But then I said, no, I am not allowed to think like this. So how did you go from, avoiding what was inside and then just confronting it and saying, like, I got to move beyond this, out of that comfort and into that area of, no, I have to constantly be working on my best self?
If you're willing to confront the actuality of the circumstance, and then you're able to perceive what the ideal place is that you'd want to be, then you can actually be at cause and take an action toward that goal. But if you're not willing to see and you're willing to avoid, you're never going to make the steps necessary in order to change. In order to change, it's simple. You got to change. If I want a different seat, or if I want to look different, I have to leave the old one and move and go sit in the new one. So I say stop avoiding and start confronting. And it all starts with a commitment. So just, the very first thing is, before you get overwhelmed with how long it's going to take and you're in that minutia and willing to give up, just make a commitment. I commit to making a change. I just make a commitment. That is it. And if a minute later you unwind the commitment, guess what? That's in the past. Recommit. Just recommit. It doesn't matter if you fail, 1 week into your workout and then you stop for a week and you're like, see, screw it. Nope, you don't get to do that. You get to make a new commitment because you're a new person in a new unit at a time. You're not the same person you were a week ago. So just recommit. Stop beating yourself up about something that happened in the past, or that you didn't trust yourself, or you let yourself down, or you didn't fulfill your obligation, so you're a nobody, and all this stuff that you run through your head about, oh, it's never going to change, and I'm never going to change, and this doesn't work, and that doesn't work. You don't get to use everything you've done in your past to, prevent you from being the person that you want to be in the future. You just let that go and just confront it again. Okay, well, that was then. I'm a new person. Recommit and take the actions necessary, and just recommit to your purpose. What is your purpose? Why do you want to do this? Is it just so you can look good? Is it for your health? Is it for, you want to make a difference? Do you want to do it because you want to be the inspiration for other people who were just like you, that didn't think that they could do it and beat themselves up over it mentally, but now you're going to get on the other side of this and be able to help those people? What is your purpose? Get reconnected to your purpose and just be committed to your purpose, and then continue to do the actions over and over. And eventually you get stronger. No one's perfect on the first try. You can't find one Super Bowl medal winner. You can't find one champion belt winner. You can't find one Olympic gold medalist that did that on their first time out. Everybody fails. Everyone has a bad day. Everyone sucks. Everyone wants to give up. Stop comparing yourself again to what you think you should be, and that you're somehow abnormal from all the quote unquote greats. All of the greats went through exactly what you went through. The only difference is they just kept continuing. They just kept getting up and doing it again. And that's the only difference, is that they just keep taking the actions. And before you know it, you're so far ahead of where you were when you started.
Yeah. And, you have a similar upbringing where you had a lot of guy friends that you grew up with. Same is true for me. I had more guy friends than I had girlfriends. And, it kind of it raises this toughness inside of you that, that is something that's powerful, and it translates later on to life, where you can confront things instead of hiding and not just avoiding them all the time. But I think that's also why you're able to attract and really keep a strong man in your life. I'm proud to say that I'm married to someone who is way more strong than me. So I know I come off like I'm here to eat your lunch, but my husband is even more strong than me. And I have no shame in saying that, Elena. I am so proud to be married to a strong man. If you could share with the audience, strong is good. Strong men are good. What are your thoughts on this today? Because for a lot of us, when I work with women and I think that they feel well, I have to be the domineering one all the time. I have to be powerful. But strength begets strength. Courage is a muscle. When you're around strong people, and I think when, all my friends were guys, it kind of made me like a little bit more tough. I love that your father was a sporting clay shooter champion of the world. He taught you how to do those things, right? So it put these like doses of strength inside of you. Then you attracted a strong man into your life. Would you say that it's okay to like strong people? It's okay for men to be strong? Because this message gets kind of messy in today's world, where they think like women have to do it all. And I don't think that's healthy.
No, that's not healthy. And that's definitely not a way to build an empire. No one's ever done it alone. So you can't do it alone. It's like impossible. It's like we can all pretend like, we can do it all. But I mean, I would like to fly, but I'm not a bird. I can't fly. Like there is an isness that you have to confront of the reality of the situation, So, I mean, do I like tough men personally? Yeah. I mean, because I like strength everywhere. I like strength in women. I want more women to step into their power and stop pretending that they're this weak little girl that they think they are. Like I like strong and powerful people around me. But again, you don't have to compare yourself to your idea of what you think that means. Like strong means what? Means what? Does that mean like I can't wear a dress? I can't be feminine? Like you see what I'm saying? The ideas of what you think something are usually the ideas that kind of mess us up. So, I mean, I like strength around me everywhere. I especially like strength around me in my areas of weaknesses. I'm not good with math or accounting. Thank God, that's Grant's strong suit. If you're asking me that men get diluted in strength, again, it's a perception, right? Because there are some relationships where a man will take on kind of the preconceived idea of what like the woman's role is, whatever that means. But I have women that have these incredible successful businesses or organizations, and the man does kind of what I do in the relationship, which is mindset, support, infrastructure, running kind of behind the scenes operations. Is that not strong because they do that? I don't think so. I think that takes an enormous amount of strength to be able to pull that off, because I know that role. It's more, I think, maybe more difficult than the other role. So it's all about a perception of what somebody thinks of the idea of somebody in a specific role. So if somebody's going to play a supporting role, which typically wouldn't be considered the strong, powerful role, but if you're in the supporting role, you have to be strong enough to bear the weight of, which means you have to be even more strong than the thing that you're bearing the weight of. So I don't think of support roles as weak or less than. It's just a different perception.
Yes. And this is what I mean. Like, two of you strong together. You talk about this in the book, like two horses, when they're running together, they don't just do like 1 + 1, they multiply their energy and force, versus two horses going in the opposite direction. It's destructive. And, talking about this to really sum up everything, when you introduce this idea of you're either creating or destroying, you're either creating or destroying. Could you share with everyone what that really means? Because this applies to wherever anyone is in their life. And Elena, I believe a lot of people are very lost today. They're living in a place where there's a lot of uncertainty. It's like it gets better, then it gets worse. They say, okay, you can do this now. And then they say, no, you can't. And you're almost like, you feel like, I have to take charge of my life. This is my life. At the end of the day, I have to answer for my life. So how do we apply this mentality of, are my actions building or are they destroying? And if you could share with us, your thoughts on this, because I love how you express it in terms of everything you're doing. It's either building or destroying. There is no middle. There is no maintaining.
There's no middle. Like that phrase, when I finally had the cognition of that one day, I was like, you're either creating an empire or you're destroying one with every action that you ever take. It haunted me. It's tortured me ever since I had that epiphany, because it struck me as true. So that goes with everything. So when I don't eat the proper food, am I creating or destroying? if I'm watching the news and hearing all of this information that I now feel like I can't be at cause over and effect of all this other stuff, am I creating or destroying? For me, I'm destroying because I get affected by that. You got to know what's happening with yourself. I get depressed. I get, it gets a little bit harder. I go a little more in apathy. I get a little more jaded, a little more bitter. I have to say, okay, I have to turn off the news. That is a choice to create. And I have to stay in my lane, stay focused. What am I doing, Elena? I'm trying to restore relationships, the value of women in society. I'm trying to create financial literacy on the planet. Just do that. Elena, if you just do that and you help enough people just do that, they're winning. Guess what people do when they're winning? They're not hating. That's what they're doing. When people are winning, they don't hate. So unless I can go in and I'm willing to take up politics or change this or take responsibility for Israel or Cuba or Afghanistan or civil rights, or unless I'm going to go in that area, I need the people that are qualified and their purpose in that area to do their jobs in that area. But that can't be my job, and I can't get distracted by that job because I've taken on this job. And if I do this job, I did my job making these people better. You take on your jobs in these other areas and you make those people better. So every single decision that I make, I look at, am I creating or destroying my empire and our purposes? And that goes with everything. I mean, it goes with everything. Like what I spend my money on, where I spend my time, which is why I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. I don't, unless I'm going out with a purpose to collaborate with somebody else. I don't usually do a whole lot of loaf time. I don't really hang out with a lot of friends. Like that's not conducive to where I'm going. I mean, everything has to have, like you said, precision and a purpose. Will I hang out for a ladies' night? Not just quote unquote for fun. If I do it, I'm going for a specific reason. If there's a collaboration, or I need to study, or I'm surveying, or I want to know because I have an idea about something and I want to present it to them for feedback. There's never just a moment of nothingness for me, because my goals and my empire are so big, and I've given myself these ridiculously unattainable goals to achieve that I can't afford a minute of loaf time, because it's so outrageous for me to even try to achieve it in the first place. But if I'm going to try, I might as well give it all I've got.
I love this. Elena, you are a person who lives on purpose, and every step that you make is done with, a tactical eye. And I love that about you, because there is no waste, and you're very much on a mission, and the world feels it. They absolutely do feel it. So I just say thank you for continuing to do this, especially now. A lot of us need to be influenced by the right people. And I always believe that evil will fill the void where there is no good. So good has to be louder. Good has to be bigger. So when you're talking about 10X, I love that you are 10Xing, and I love that you are building something. So if we could close out with just sharing with everyone, what is 10X ladies? What is on the horizon? I want to know what's next, because I know you're working. Whatever we see you're working on, we already know there's something else that's going on that's next. So where are you going?
Well, 10X Ladies, this yacht behind me, 10X Ladies is my next event. It's the 10X Ladies Power Players Edition. This event can only be for 240 women. Obviously, this is a ship. We can't expand walls. But 240 of really a powerful elite women of the world who are willing to take responsibility for their sector of the universe by coming together, convening on this ship for 2 days to mastermind and hear from other experts and mentors, and how to be ultimate 10X in mindset, business, finance, relationships, family, and health and fitness. So that's what a 10X lady is. A 10X lady is empowered to live in abundance in those areas of life, and then they're willing to actually make a difference in their communities. So I'm really looking forward to this event, because it's going to help boost powerful women to be power multiplier in their region and sector, and have each other as a global network to depend on for women, really supporting women, making a difference and healing the planet, making it a better place for everyone.
Yes, you know, there's a great saying, when you educate a man becomes educated. When you educate a woman, a nation is educated. So like just hearing what you're doing is very powerful. So thank you for being just an amazing person who lives on purpose, and everything in your life is aligned, and you're also a very real person that is transparent, and I just sincerely appreciate that about you. So thank you, Elena. Thank you, Standalone crew. We are so honored to have you today. Have a blessed day, everyone.
You too. Thank you.